Hey everybody, it's Crystal B, and I am back to tell you all about the June 5th Sagittarius lunar eclipse. And welcome to eclipse season. This is actually going to be the first of 3 consecutive back-to-back eclipses. The first is going to be this one that's happening on June 5th. This is a closing chapter, a closing cycle. Any lunar eclipse is always endings or things that need to close out in order to take something to the next level. Turning point. The second one is going to be later in June. That's going to be on June 21st, and that's going to be taking place in the sign of Cancer. And then the third and final eclipse is going to be taking place in early July, about July 5th, and that's going to be taking place in the sign of Capricorn. And there's a lot of story that evolves in eclipse season in general, because again, we have new doors that are opening and old doors that need to close. So as we immerse into this current eclipse season, the last one was actually at the end of 2019. It started right after Christmas, December 26th, and that was a solar eclipse. And then the lunar eclipse was actually January 10th, 2020. So all the things that were happening then, they now come to a new turning point now in this next eclipse period. Now, some things that are really important about this Sagittarius lunar eclipse is possibilities, because Sagittarius is going to be the sign that is going to be really illuminated by the moon. And because it's going to be eclipsed, there is a burst of awareness and also insight that comes into us Sagittarius style. And Sagittarius is the teacher. Sagittarius is the preacher. Sagittarius is all fire. And it really can get revved up when it believes in something, because it's very strong with its beliefs. And we know going into this eclipse season that tensions are running high. And we have a lot of there's so much anger in the air that is brewing, and people are really standing up for their beliefs and standing up for the rights of people, and what is right and what is wrong. And here with this full moon eclipse, this lunar eclipse, we're really probably going to see the preacher kind of energy come out even stronger. Additionally, we're probably going to see that Sagittarius is a fire sign, so it really can connect to the fire that is within us. And that can be for the good, and it can also be for the bad. And because this is a tense picture, there is a very, very strong Tsquare that is operating at this eclipse. And what does that mean? Well, it means that we have the moon in Sagittarius that's actually not going to be getting along with Mars and Neptune in Pisces. And all of those bodies are also not getting along with the sun and Venus in Gemini. So this shows us our Tsquare. In my member horoscopes, I actually have the picture that is illustrative of what this actual Tsquare looks like. So whenever there's tension in the air, it's not a call to be scared. It's a call to be aware, and a call to say, hey, energy is intense. And again, we're feeling this, several days before June 5th. It's whenever eclipse season begins, a new eclipse season begins, there is a new kind of feel that comes into the air several days before, and up to even 2 weeks. And there's no doubt that there's a lot happening out there in the public eye, with people standing up for their rights, for their beliefs, and trying to protect people. The protection is coming from Pisces, because there is a lot of energy that is brewing right now in Pisces, and Neptune and Mars are very, very dominant there, and they are emotional. And with the fire, if we aren't being if we aren't careful of how we're directing this energy, we can certainly end up creating a big fire. We could end up creating a big, kind of something very, very big. Because that's what Sagittarius likes. It likes big. It likes, it wants to be heard. It wants to be seen, and it wants to expand. But if we think about the positives of Sagittarius and also Gemini and Pisces, we really need to look at Virgo. And the reason for that is because with this Tsquare, Virgo is the missing link. And what does Virgo tell us? Virgo tells us, well, we have to take a deep breath, and we have to, kind of connect to our body, mind, and spirit. And also, as we do that, really think about us and think about service, because Virgo is a very strong service oriented sign, but it's also a sign that is very connected to our health and very connected to the body. And you want to kind of engage this energy to let it run through you versus pointing it in the wrong direction, because this could erupt. And if we're not careful, we can certainly end up letting our feelings dominate the scene. And again, I think we're already seeing a lot of that. It's just that this kind of brings it to a new level. Something else that's super important to just remember with this eclipse is that it is operating now. The moon's nodes have officially shifted out of the Cancer Capricorn axis, and they are now operating in the Sagittarius Gemini axis. And what does that mean? It means that for the next 2 years, we are going to be really kind of moving into a new cycle where we are being asked to expand the possibilities and kind of break down old beliefs. Again, Sagittarius is about beliefs, and Gemini is about thinking and the mind, in order to come up with some new solutions and new teaching mechanisms and new beliefs. And it's not to say that the old beliefs aren't, there isn't credibility to them, but there may need to be some sort of revision, revamp, and something new that needs to be looked at, to be embraced as we kind of move ahead. And if you want to look back in time, because eclipse seasons are approximate 19-year cycles, 18 years and change cycles. And the last time that the moon's nodes were operating in the Gemini Sagittarius axis was between 2001 and 2003. And then going back further than that, 92 and 93. And again, we could just continue to go back. But again, kind of, jog your mind a little bit and think about, what was I doing? What kind of things were happening to me around 2001, 2003? And it might give you some hints as to where the new cycle is going to take you. But at this juncture in time, because again, this is the first eclipse that we are really kind of, that's really showcasing the Sagittarius Gemini axis, really kind of gauge, like, what do you need to say goodbye to? What kind of belief or what kind of patterning do you need to let go of? Because whenever there's a lunar eclipse, there is something that has to be let go, or something that needs to, kind of revamp in order to take it to a different, reinvent it in some kind of way. And, other things to kind of think about as we embrace this eclipse is that this is, a 3-part story. We have, this is the lunar eclipse, and then there's going to be a solar that will follow after that. And then there will be another eclipse in July. So there's more to come in these, profound changes that are around us. And the next set of eclipses will actually take place at the end of this year. They will be at the end of November, into middle December. So things that you're doing here will be able to kind of gauge and, kind of assess and see, how your new chapters are, and all the things that you said goodbye to. How is that? How are you faring with that? We'll be able to kind of gauge that at the end of the year. But just kind of be aware of this, Tsquare, this intensity that is around you, and really kind of engage your feelings and find an outlet for them, because it's really going to be helpful. And the other thing too, in regards to relationships, Venus is now just a few days past her darkest point of the retrograde, because remember, Venus is in retrograde until the end of June. And she's the planet of love and relationships, and Pisces. That Mars and Neptune and Pisces want you to, fight for love, but there's something not right about the love that you're seeking, or there's something not right about, where you're directing your energies. And this dark point of Venus is really kind of also asking us to, look within. And, she's operating in Gemini, and Gemini is the sign of duality. So there's something to be said about not just looking within, but looking at all the sides, the facets of who you are. And what are the darker sides, or what are the sides that have been holding you back or making negative choices? How can you restructurize them, or how can you let go of them and, kind of repattern in order to move on into healthier territory, or territory where you can have and engage with that long-lasting love that you really desire. And again, love comes in so many different forms. It could be with, on the romantic scene, but it could also be, when it comes to friendships or family members. There's so many places where we engage in relationships. And I think that this Tsquare is also, this lunar eclipse, and the pole of the Tsquare is certainly going to be asking us to further look at our relationships and what needs to go. Because again, with the lunar eclipse, something's got to go in order for the new beginning to take place. So I hope that was helpful. For further information is in my horoscopes on my site. And again, there's lots of learning tools that are there for you as well. crystalbeastrology.com. I hope everybody fares well with this eclipse. I hope it is illuminating. I hope it shares with you many, many possibilities of where we can go next. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.